please sound off. Okay. Leanne Adams. Leanne Adams.
Here.
Okay. Ajane Baker.
Here.
Devin Como.
Here.
Jamar Hill. Jeremiah Hogan.
Right.
Miss Jarrow. Tyshandra Jarrow. Devontae Johnson.
I'm here.
Brianna C. Lee.
Here.
Taylor Morris.
Here.
Asia.
Here.
Julia Tippin. Julia Tippin. Jaden.
Here.
Darlinda.
Here.
Okay, going once. Jamar Hill. Tyshandra Jarrow. Julia Tippin.
Here.
Okay, Miss Tippin is here. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to put up my share screen. So what we're going to do today is we're going to review for your midterm exam. Your midterm exam will be offered this Saturday starting at 3 p.m. and the portal will close at 3 p.m. Sunday. So you have a 24-hour window to take your midterm. The test lasts 45 minutes. And unlike your previous work where I've allowed you to turn it in late due to Hurricane Ida, you will not be able to retake the midterm exam without a official excuse that comes to me from the Office of Academic Affairs, okay? So you need to be very serious. Okay, I see Leanne is joined. Let me mark her as present. Okay, yeah, that's done. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to put up my screen, but let's all be mindful of that. You know, you won't be able to make this up if you miss it without an official letter from Academic Affairs, okay? So let's put up the screen. All right, so let's go to assignment. So what we're going to do today, the midterm exam is going to be based on your answers to your homework assignments. So we're going to go back to Paleolithic art and review those answers. These answers reflect what you will see on the midterm. So the midterm is going to be a word bank type of multiple choice question. So slides 1 through 8 will represent part of the test. So we have on your screen Paleolithic, the definition, the Paleolithic, with the examples of Paleolithic art. They're portable. They tend to be fertility based and survival, and they have exaggerated features. So this is the Venus of Willendorf. On this particular exam, you won't be expected to identify and name works of art, but you will be on all the tests that follow. So this first one is just a ground clearing of different ages. So you need to know the dates and places of the Paleolithic age, 30,000 to 9,000 BCE, and they were based in Western Europe. You will need to know the habits of the people, excuse me. They were nomads. That means they did not establish permanent communities, and they were hunter-gatherers. So the history implies that they followed whatever prey animals that they were eating. And so they would go from they would go from one part of the landscape to the next. Okay, so these are some small hand-sized carvings of bison, and they were found in a cave. So these are reliefs which means that they were carved into the cave wall, and they're not, handheld like this one. Okay, the themes of Paleolithic artwork are survival, fertility, and animals. So this is very important as a test question. The forms, the way that they made the art included anatomical exaggeration, as we see with the Venus of Willendorf, that the features of the body are exaggerated. Pictorial definition, which means the objects, there's no layered meaning or context to it. It is as it appears. And the perspective is somewhat twisted. Okay, so we have a cave painting of spotted horses and negative hand imprints. And this is from France. Since you won't have to identify any of the artworks, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time reviewing the artwork unless it specifically refers to a question. Okay, so these are more cave paintings, but this just kind of helps you, with the contextualization of Paleolithic. Neolithic. The themes of the Neolithic age are human activity and building for community. So during the Neolithic age, permanent communities were set up. People lived in mud, brick, and stone homes. The post and lintel building construction technique was introduced, as well as monumental sculpture and composite views within their artwork. And so this is an example of a composite view, this deer hunt. So you have the large deer and you have the human figures. So composite meaning you can see elements of activity that you couldn't see within the Paleolithic artwork that really just focused on figures. So now you're seeing scenes play out, and you see there's different sized deer. So this deer, the larger one is closer, the smaller one is further away, and you're seeing different types of human activity around capturing the deer. Okay, Neolithic, monumental sculpture. People started making artwork using plaster, reeds, and twine, as with this particular image of this human figure. This is covered in plaster, painted and inlaid with cowrie shells and bitumen. Ritual burials. So prior to the Neolithic age, the Paleolithic European did not have a burial ritual. So we want to really put that in context, because burial rituals are something that we've all grown accustomed to. But it is a sign of high civilization. We have burial rituals that are practiced throughout the world today, and they're based on Egyptian principles. 6 feet under is a ritual. Reading scripture at someone's funeral is a type of ritual. So without these types of things, basically you just have a body rotting in the landscape with animals eating it, or you bury them under rocks, which eventually get taken over by insects. And the scent had to just be terrible. So these Paleolithic people, since they were nomads and didn't have established communities, they could leave a dead member of their community behind, because they're going to move on anyway. And so you would just have bodies all over the place, here and there. And they also lived in planned towns. This is a major component of civilization, a planned town where we're going to come together in this particular area, usually by a source of water like a riverbank, and we're going to build a community. Okay. And another thing about the Neolithic peoples, in contrast to the Paleolithic people, let's look at the dates. This too was a test question, 9,000 to 2000 BCE. and they're based in Western Europe and the Near East, which we know as the Middle East. So Western Europe into Iraq and Iran type areas. The people settled in villages, as we mentioned before, and the people were agrarian, they were farmers. So one of the main components of civilization is the ability to grow food, because then that means the people responsible for gathering food, it goes from the collective to the few. And so people can focus on other things. So you had complex rituals, rites of passage, things that defined individuals as children, teenagers, and adults. So that includes marriages, that includes any rituals associated with childbirth, and so forth. And this is an example of a monumental Neolithic form. You know, actually, I may include a couple of photos. So I'm definitely going to have Stonehenge as a Neolithic structure. And for Paleolithic, I'm just going to have the Venus of Willendorf. So this is the Paleolithic image you'll have to know. And this is the Neolithic image right here that you'll have to know as well. And so the reason why we want to focus on Stonehenge is because it shows and highlights the post and lintel construction. So if you look at these two vertical forms and this horizontal form, these are the post and the horizontal form is the lintel. Monumental architecture, that's making of giant structures. Megaliths, as it's a massive structure, and astronomical observatory. So all of those features are included in Stonehenge. So what would this look like on a test? You'll have the image of Stonehenge, and in the word bank, you have to decide, you have to find the correct way to finish the expression. Stonehenge uses blank and blank construction. So you would look in the word bank for post and lintel. Or Stonehenge is an example of blank architecture, monumental architecture. Stonehenge itself is a blank megalith. Okay, ancient Near East, moving forward. The dates are 3500 to 330 BCE. And this area is based in the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. Okay, the people established city-states and empires. They had large agricultural societies. They also had specialized labor and social hierarchies. What do we mean by social hierarchies? Well, that means you have a ruling class. Well, first you have a government class, then you have a societal ruling class, then you have the peasants. So you had a tiered society. They also had a writing system, which you didn't have in the Paleolithic age. And they have complex religions, very similar to the type of societies that we live in today. We definitely have specialized labor and social hierarchies. We have a writing system, and we have various complex religions. Okay, so the themes of the art of the ancient Near East are offerings. Offerings to whom? To gods. You have warfare and hunting and rulers. So the art of the ancient Near East was very much about power and dominance. The forms that they built were mud brick construction. They used natural and conceptual treatments of figures, which means they used figures in a representational form, or how they actually looked. And in terms of conceptual, they had what was referred to as hierarchy of scale. So if you were the leader and you're depicted in the artwork, you were always depicted as larger. And they have registers of space. So when we look at this particular artifact, this Varka vase, we see these horizontal lines with different scenes happening in different levels. So these are what we call registers of space. So in each register of space, there's a different arrangement of forms. But since we're dealing with hierarchy, it's always the better stuff at the top. Okay, so, and this is Sumer, and this is the White Temple of Uruk. And this is from 3200 to 3000 BCE. So this is the image you will be responsible for on the test from the Art of the Ancient Near East. This is a ziggurat, which is the most famous of the Sumerian structures. So the ziggurat platform, which is a monumental mud construction, as is the White Temple. And it is a temple for God on the top and a cella for priest with votive offerings placed inside. So this is another image you'll see on the test from the Art of the Near East. These two votive statuettes of two worshipers. You won't have to know the name, but you'll have to recognize them as votive structures. And then we have the standard of which has two sides. This is the war side, and you see there are implements of war, there are troops, there's a movement of weapons, arrows, and spears. Okay, so once again, you have registers of space with hierarchy of scale. So each one of these three sections is a register of space. And they believe in offerings and ritual and have historic narratives on both sides. So once again, this is the war side of the standard of and this is the peace side of the standard of You want to make certain that you can identify the differences between these. So if you look at the bottom, we have goods, we have trade, we have livestock, and we have farmers. And at the top, we have scribes, musicians, and people of power. They also have hierarchy of scale because you have a larger figure at the top. So this is the peace side of the standard of and this is the war side. So you have these horse-drawn chariots with warriors in them. You have foot soldiers, and then you have soldiers, chariots, and their divine leader that is made larger than them. And this is the head of an Akkadian ruler. And this is art of the ancient Near East, the Akkad people. So this is an Akkadian, and this is the people, the Akkadians come from the Akkad people. So once again, we have a hierarchy of scale. We have the leader at the top and the smaller people at the bottom. Okay. We have the divine kingship and its attributes. We have warfare. We have cuneiform text. Cuneiform text is a form of writing. We have hierarchy of scale, where you have the leader made larger. We have composite views, which gives us a foreground and a background. We have organization versus disarray, and landscapes, which includes horizon lines. Okay, art of the ancient Near East, ancient Babylon. Okay, so you won't be responsible for knowing this image right here, but you will be responsible for knowing this image of Lamassu, the man-headed winged bull. So this is Assyrian. So it's pretty, the Assyrians, you'll notice that each grouping has more advanced work. Sorry about that. You'll notice that each grouping has more advanced, cleaner work as you move forward through the ages. So yeah, this is this you won't have to know the name of it, but you'll have to know that this is Assyrian. Okay, and this is Assyrian archers pursuing enemies. This is a relief sculpture. The examples of the art of Assyria includes low relief sculpture. So when we look at this surface, we see from the shadows, we can tell that this is very flat. This is a very flat surface, and it's designed to demonstrate the story, the narrative, without the large forms. So we see this line here. This is a horizon line, and this shows the landscape. You have trees, and your archers are set up here, and then you have fallen enemies, and then you have the kingdom. I guess they're being conquered. Okay, so Assyrian artwork has low relief sculptures. They show palaces and citadels. They have complex narrative scenes, and the sculptor combines different viewpoints. They show lots of images of warfare that show the ruler's power, and they demonstrate a period of constant warfare, kind of like today. And then we have the Babylonian Ishtar Gate. The Ishtar Gate. This is the entry to one of the greatest ancient cities, imposing arcuation. They're referring to this arch. You know how you see how there's a small cube. This is the actual space that you could enter, but you go through these massive arches to get to that small entry space. Okay, Ishtar was Babylonian equivalent to Inanna. So Ishtar is like a female fertility figure / war figure, and the sacred lion on bricks in yellow. And this is Persia. We won't have to cover any of the stuff from Persia. And then we move on to Egypt. Egypt was from 3500 to 1000 BCE. So actually, we're going to cover more of Egypt on Wednesday. But I want everybody to go back and start reviewing the PowerPoint. And, this is the content for the test will come directly from this PowerPoint. And are there any questions so far? Good. It's pretty straightforward.
Wait, can you post this Zoom class?
Pardon?
Can you
Okay,
post this class, the recording?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna post it. But yeah, you do want to pay attention while we go in case you have any questions that you might not remember. So right, so you basically have to review each of these slides. Mostly these slides that give you examples of the type of artwork that they made. But once again, I want to mention we're not dealing with Persia. Okay, we're going to skip past Persia and go right to Egypt. But I want to refer back to the video when we meet again on Wednesday. But in the meantime, if you want to prepare for the test, the best thing to do is to review the PowerPoint while looking at the actual questions. So this is the homework questions. Okay, what was the duration of the Paleolithic period? This is where your test questions for the midterm are going to come from. They're going to come directly from the homework. So you're going to review your homeworks while reviewing the PowerPoint, and that's the best way to study for it. What part of the world? So of course it's Europe. The Venus of Willendorf is an example of a fertility figure. A lot of people got that question wrong with the homework. A lot of people put a female figure. But no, it's a fertility figure, primarily because of the exaggerations of her body. List 2 themes in Paleolithic art: fertility, survival. How are the forms presented in Paleolithic art? They're presented as small handheld structures What types of people existed during the Paleolithic people? Nomads. Okay. Oh, didn't want to do that. Okay. And then we go to the next assignment. Neolithic art. Okay, what types of themes did the Neolith adorn their artwork with? So remember, the Neolithics were a lot more advanced than the Paleolith. They were able to create agrarian societies. So they adorned their artwork with more complex scenes. What were some of their technical accomplishments with the forms made? We discussed the compositional elements. What were some of the examples of their technological advancements? Okay, their technological advancements were based on their ability to form monuments and megalithic structures. One of their rituals was astrological with Stonehenge. What type of living conditions were typical of the Neolithics? They were living in mud brick construction. What Neolithic building technique was employed in the building of Stonehenge? That is your post and lintel architecture. Art of the Near East. So we're a lot more advanced with the art of the Near East. So we're going to look at the homework assignment. That's what we will study. When was the time of the ancient Near East? Okay, that's listed. Where was the ancient Near East? Okay, we mentioned that's in the contemporary Middle East. What type of environments did people live in? They lived in cities and empires. How did they organize their social systems? They organized it with a social hierarchy. What themes did the ancient Near East artists pursue in their work? So all of that is listed in the PowerPoints, but this is the way that you review for the test. You're going to go over all of your previous assignments, and you're going to review those questions and answers. So once again, the midterm exam will be I'm not sure how many questions, but it's going to be it won't be more than 35 questions. And it will be multiple choice. So we have Sumerian art, and the videos that are linked are packed with helpful information. Okay, who were the Sumerians and where did they come from? This is very important. The test questions will come from the homework. So I will cherry pick through the homework assignments to form the test. And there will be a couple of images you have to know. When we meet again on Wednesday, we're going to, today we're covering the written part of the test. When we meet on Wednesday, we're going to review this again, and then we're going to focus on the images that you're responsible for identifying on the test. Okay. So are there any questions so far? Okay, great. So that's going to wrap it up for today. But as I mentioned before, if you have, if you do not want to miss the midterm exam, unless you have an official notice that will be sent to me from the Office of Academic Affairs. The test is going to be high value. It's going to be 150 points. So let's make sure we're all present. And if you have any questions between now and Wednesday, don't hesitate to send me an email, okay? So if there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and conclude for today. You need to start reviewing that information if you haven't already. And I should have this lecture posted before the end of the day, okay? So you all have a great rest of your day. And as I mentioned before, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.